Plus I got the muscle to touch you, I've been a G. My records got legs like millipedes. I slap earth, wet, fire, and ice. I'm rappers, but trying to say that rain ain't nice, cause I'm immortal and it's more than a word. We can take it out. Too hot, no safe place, a cool spot. You a blabbermouth, tell me what you mad about. We can have it out and turn your stage to a splatterhouse. Archetype and a prototype when I hold the mic. They like true, I'm dynamite. I'm fresh and deaf, he rhymed and ran left. Stole the show, cops is calling it grand theft. The law can't concern me, cause I'm 100 and old. Represented by your aces and Ernie. Parties I turn out and then ran burnout. I'm what your gas need out. Nobody move to say so. Get the pesos, hell's ain't Jane, that's runs for Saints. I blaze blue with state show, I'm past your speed. Here to the rap Assassin's Creed, yeah. My time is now, my moment is here. I don't know any fears, better open your ears. From the clubs to the cons, my buzz is the bomb.
When I say beg talk, y'all say talk. Beg talk. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Performers Academy for our final installment of this school year's season of Truth. Support the great young mind. So much for now. Tonight is not just the 8th and final episode of Truth and Proof Youth program, and just like me, get to showcase their gifts and talents one final time before summer. So we are going to experience a series of artistic renderances that are designed and created for and by our teens here at the Performers Academy. My name is Ebony Payne-English, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the executive director of this organization. And I am so blessed by the work that the students have put together this semester. We have a guest artist in the building who is a personal hero of mine, and also a poet and a mentor in his community, and that is Wally B. Jennings, who we will hear from. Yes, give it up. We will hear from him after have taken in all that our teens have to offer. So we are going to go ahead and get into our first piece, which is a song and dance performance by one of our Just Like Me and Squaggles participants. I need y'all to love Evan Torres all the way to the microphone. Give it up.
Lift every voice and sing till heaven ring with harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let us march on till glory.
Jacksonville, how are you feeling? All right.
Baby, let the games begin.
Y'all give it up for my Baby, let the games begin. The games begin. Let the games begin now.
Baby, let the games begin. Let the games begin.
Let the games begin now.
Baby, let the games begin. Let the games begin. Let the games begin
Now.
Baby, let the games
Come on, y'all.
begin. Let the games begin. Let the games begin
Now. Jacksonville, I got one question. Are you ready for it? Right out, Jackson. Knew he was a killer first time that I saw him. Wonder how many girls he had left and left haunted. Well, if he's a ghost, then I can be a phantom, holding him for ransom. And he's trying too hard. He gon' try it all though. That's not like my exes, but he act like such a man. So just like the vendetta. I see how this is gonna touch me. You'll never leave a lifestyle love. In the middle of the night, in my dreams, you should see the things we do, baby. Ooh. In the middle of the night, dreams, yeah. I know I'm gonna be with you, so I'll take my time. Are you ready for it? He knew I was a robber the first time that he saw me. Taking pumps and taking hearts and never saying sorry. Well, if I'm a thief, then you can try the heist, then we'll move to an island. He can be my tailor and learn to tell my tailor. The way he's such a failure. Things are gonna the same now. They're gonna be the same now. Never be the same now. I see how this is gonna go. Touch me, you'll never be alone. Island breeze and lifestyle. No one has to know. In the middle of the night, in my dreams, you should see the things we do, baby, yeah. And in the middle of the night, in my dreams, yeah, I know I'm gonna be with you, so I'll take my time. Are you ready for it? Jacksonville, let me hear you say, let the games begin. Baby, let the games begin. Let the games begin. Let the games begin. Now. I see how this is gonna go. Touch me and you'll never be alone. Island breeze and lights down low. No one has to know.
in the middle of
Yeah. Baby, yeah. In the middle of the night, in my dream, you're my time. In the middle of the night, baby, let the games begin. Let the games begin. Let the games begin. Are you ready for it? Oh no. Are you ready for it? Jackson, ready for it? I want to dedicate this song to Ebony. Lot of money. Ebony, can you come up front? You don't have to play no games. All I need is your loving to keep the blood rushing through my veins. Yeah.
Up for Evan one more time. The next presentation that we have coming up is from the Squad Goals Dance Department, and that is headed up by Miss Anija Encarnacion, and they are presenting the dance Precious. Please love them all the way to the stage.
Now we're too far down for closure. No, can't you hear me now? It's over. And if you're going, please, baby, when you forget about me, don't be so precious about it. Don't be so precious about it. And you'll save me, but I'll find a way around it. I'll find a way around it. Don't be so precious. We're holding on to nothing, nothing. I've always been good at running, running. It's okay if I'm the one you're done with, that you're done with. But if you're going, please, baby, when you forget about me, don't be so precious about it. And you'll save me, but I'll find a way.
So that was Precious, and the dancers featured were Kate from the theater department. That is a collaboration with Lyricism and Recording Arts. It's written by Zuri Randolph, directed by Dr. Sean Powell. It has the original score by Travis Travelite Thomas, and it's starring Zuri Randolph, Moses West, and Janae Collins. Please love them all the way to stage. Love them, love them, love them.
Okay, Cup, make sure you fill the jars all the way up to the top.
I know that. I've been doing this since I was 2 years old.
I know you're not complaining, young lady. This shop is the reason you can wear your expensive clothes and play in your cellular communication device.
You know it's more to life than the store, right?
You think it's more to life than... Hi. May I help you?
Hi, Mr. Whatchamacallit and Peanut Butter Cup. Can I get a half a pound of...
Hey, what's that?
Oh, this? It's a TPA rap contest. The winner gets $1,000.
Where do I sign up? I might.
You might what? We don't got time for stuff like that, Cup. We got work to do.
All due respect, sir, if she wants to, at least let...
Listen, we don't have time for things like that. We don't need any distress. finish, and we got to run this shop in a couple of years. Ain't that right, Cup?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Dad, what was all that about?
Like I said, we just don't need any distractions. Now, you got to be able to run this shop in a couple of years.
But I want to do music. That's what I'm passionate about.
Look, that music stuff is just not guaranteed. But this here is. Shop has been in our family for many generations, and I won't see you run it all down the drain for music.
Okay, what if I do both? What if I take care of the shop and do my music?
Well, my decision is final. So just get back to filling up the jars.
Okay, fine. I know you don't want me to do music, but will you at least listen to the song I made?
I mean, I don't know.
Just give it a chance.
Okay, I'm giving you one chance to listen to your music.
I know you'll like it. I promise.
Yes, I'm dandy. I wanna you feel it too. Just run.
Can you feel it? That's sweet like candy feeling. A thing that make you feel like you won't ever touch the ceiling. A thing that make you feel like the sky is your limit. Let me tell you that I know, cause that's exactly how I'm feeling. What a fly so high, going past the sky. I don't want to explain, so don't ask me why. When I get up there, I'm gonna touch the stars. My burst from joy, love me gave me far. Out of this world, far from the Milky Way, another galaxy. I got my I'm so high above, far from these kids. I said I'm number one. Everybody know that I'm the best, so don't test me. I'm stress-free. I wrote the words that put it to a melody. Now look at me. I am probably the best you ever seen. And you can't compete with me because I have forever seen. Skittles in my pocket for the weekend. This dream is something I can't believe in. Peanut butter cups that I be eating. No patience, I might have to do a reaching. I know that I'm on this little journey, go to my soon. Wait on me to blow up, that's not cool. Being like candy, no, I will always shoot. This dream is starting now, ain't no stopping all this energy. But I want you to know that right now, I ain't feeling no pain. I only feel gains, and everybody the same. They going every which way, they tryna tell me to play, but they have always been strange. I don't be acting that way. I'm a smarty in the city, I have always say saying I do. I need to complain, cause I can deal with the change. If they wanna say it to me, they gon' have to refrain. I don't wanna say nothing, gon' have to learn to refrain. Ain't no airheads over here. I got done with all my fears. Eminem said no more tears, and now my path is clear. So, what you think?
That was good right there. I like that right there. That's a pretty good job. You know what I'm saying? You was up there. You was doing the moves. You remind me. I might have been wrong about you.
You know, that's a first. I'm glad you're admitting that.
Very funny young lady. But no, seriously, like you reminded me, you know what I'm saying, of myself back in the day. Like you'll chip off the old block.
What you mean by that?
Oh yeah, you know your daddy used to do a little music back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I had some moves and all that.
Why you ain't never tell me then?
Well, I didn't think it would come back up. I had you and your granddaddy told me the same spiel I was giving you about running this shop in a couple of years. So I never thought it'd come back up.
Okay, well, can you show me something?
I don't know, man, your daddy kind of rusty. Ain't been around in a while.
Okay. You saying you don't remember nothing? Not one thing.
Not really, but you know what? If you help me out, maybe we can do this thing together.
Okay, I could do that.
Let's get
I've been a-searching on this big wide world. Now finally I found mine.
I wanna be no kind of candy girl. I just wanna be the top to rule the world. I just wanna have my own dreams, my caramel swirl, my own little thing. I just wanna go places that I've never been. I don't really want this little dream to end. I just wanna make my own kind of friends so I can go follow them in the Neverland. Look, I'll take you on this little ride. I'll show you that I can take flight. And if you ask me if I find, I'll show you that I'm in the sky. So right, this dream, it got me high. Prepared to wave goodbye, I'll stare in the spotlight.
But how we gon' pay bills with that hippity hop? What's gon' happen if the record sales flippity flop? Snickers and pops I'm selling, it be getting the guap. I just wanna see my baby girl get to the top. Cause the common Tic Tac Skittles, Kit Kat Sour, Kids Pat Sweetest, Fish Stack Swizzles, Twix, Licorice Patch Candy equals money. Big fact, this is the business of the family, man. Don't you wanna have your own little candy land? We'll take over the whole game, hand in hand with the candy girl and the candy man.
Okay. All right, Dad, I see you. You know, I feel robbed that you didn't tell me that, but okay.
I mean, like I said, I never thought it'd come back
But
up.
you ain't so bad yourself, you know what I'm saying? I think you're pretty good at this music thing. You know what? I think I'm willing to get behind you and support you. What you
So you gonna let me do my music, 100%.
maybe not 100%, now maybe about 72 or something like that. But you know, but I think you can go far, superstar. But in the meantime, fill the jars up to the top.
Y'all give it up. That was dope, right? I'm impartial because, you know, I think everybody here is dope. I love TPA. Like, our board chair apologizes for her absence. Catherine McAvoy, she is homesick. It is her birthday, so please wish her well. She's saying she's going backwards in age, so she's 26 today. Y'all give it up for her. Get well soon, Kat. She's watching from home, as is everyone else who couldn't make it tonight. But thank y'all so much for being here. The next presentation is from the Visual Arts Department. The rain kept us from cutting the ribbon on our newest mural. I know that you noticed when you were coming into the facility that we're covered in murals here at TPA. And that is in large part to one of our board members who is present, Nico. We did a mural festival last year called TPA Fest to bring awareness and to raise funds for this program. And muralists from all over the world came out to support and tag our walls. But the newest mural that was just completed earlier today was a collaborative effort between our visual arts instructor, Chris Cooley-Ross Clark, and our 13-year-old phenomenal artist, Zende Randolph. And if you could welcome and the piece that they brought to life for us. In the last 6 months, Zende has actually won 2 cash prizes in art contests throughout Jacksonville, and we are so proud of him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is for you, Zende.
Y'all brought the 2 quietest people in here up to the stage.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my name is Chris Clark. I'm the art. I've been working with Zende for a few months now. And Zende, he reminds me a lot of myself at that age, super reserved and yeah, but just a really bright kid, very intelligent, well-spoken, and just focused. Like I've never seen a young person like Zende as focused, like with a laser focus, like on whatever it is he's doing. I remember I came to class one day and I was like, you know, there's this chalk art. You think you can do that? And Zende, yeah, I got it. Like no problem, I can do that. And he goes out to the chalk competition and wins. Came to class another day. It's like, you know, I told your mom about this this art show. It's a youth art show about your dream camping trip. I'm like, you think you can do that? Zende's like, yeah, I can do that. No problem. He won the art show. Um, and so lastly, um, Miss Evans came to me with the idea of doing a mural project, and they had spray paint. And so this was Zende's first mural using spray paint, just his first mural. Oh yeah, that's number one right there, first place. Yeah, so this was Zende's very first mural. First time really using spray paint, and for any artist in the room, Nico will tell you, she taught me a lot of things that I know about spray paint, but it's not the easiest medium to use, even for adults. So for a 13-year-old to go out there to do it free-handed, just straight up to the wall and just draw his art up there, color it in, like for the first time, like I was really impressed. I shared it on all of my social media pages. I have a really big following, and everybody was on there like, oh, he's only 13, like a kid did that, and so I just want to say to Zende how proud I am, and you did it.
Well, first of all, I agree with everything you just said. And also, I've been trying to think of what the main theme of it was. I had a few ideas, like maybe exploration or interdimensional transportation or something. Just a few explanations that I came up about 5 minutes ago, but I think they sound like, you know, they sound pretty cool. I mean, there's no really real hidden meaning to it. I think the real inspiration was just a sketch that I did a couple weeks ago. Actually, more than a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago. But I think it looked really cool, so I wanted to find a way to do it on a bigger scale, and I did.
So after we leave here tonight, hopefully the rain holds off for us. We will go and cut the ribbon on the mural that's just in the front of the building. So please stay for that. Spoken. So y'all got blessed because he's right. The two quietest people in the room. Period. Next, we are bringing back our wonderful dance department. This piece is called Black Heart, and it is starring Caitlin Thomas, Aiden Spate, and Anijah. Give it up. Another discipline we have here at TPA is the fashion design department, which of course is not And it was beautiful, is it not? So that throughout the night, you'll see different pieces that the fashion design department did contribute to the evening. Next, we are going to have a lyrical piece from Janae Collins called Be There, Be Now. Please welcome her all the way to the stage.
Here, be now. Be here, be now, be forever. Exist in the realm of limitless treasures. Don't wait. Stop putting off your happiness. Life exists now. So be now, be free now. Procreate. Remind everyone who you are. Leave your footprint. Your existence is benevolent. The way you challenge the status quos, going down rabbit holes, your brilliance shows. Nobody knows how far you will go. Your limitless, infinite wonders, you have yet to uncover who you can be. Be forever.
Y'all give it up for Janae. Be here, be now. Next, we have another lyrical offering from Darius Mitchell, and it's called Bus Poem. To level on these kids tonight, so please give it up for Darius. Thank you.
Well, you said it was called what? That is not what it's called. I said I was writing it on the bus. That's what I said. Bus poem. Bus poem. What's it called? I don't have a name for it. I don't know. It is not going to be bus poem. That's my worst fears might just be mirrors. I get stuck when I face them like headlights and deers, and I get odd facial dysphoria as if I just smelled some beers. They show the truth. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, who wants to be lied to? I suppose it may be me. I mean, two faces in one mirror. It's my face. How could I be uneasy? I can even move, he moves. Every time I speak, she speaks. I don't understand. I can immobilize him. I can silence them. Why is this mirror a threat? Is it the eyes? It can't be the eyes. The mirror reflects a backwards image of whatever's in front of it. So it's my opposite. Everything I'm not. Consistently productive, headed, taller. Maybe I should shatter it, destroy it. This opposite of me, this monster. I was always one to self-sabotage. Why do I fear myself so greatly? Nothing's wrong with being a right, but I float in the back like a safety. I don't even play football. Gravely, my mind is ahead. My heart's behind. My soul is reaching for a meal, for a purpose. I don't know, my time on this rock hasn't exactly been ready to eat. Faithfully, I'm still here. I'm still lost. Lately, things have been feeling like a arc. The worst part of any show. The boringest part of any show. I'm in the middle of a puzzle, alone, hoping for some killer sharks. I have eyes. I can't see, so I guess you say I'm in the dark. I'm lost. I'm faded. Faded out the race. I didn't even start. That was it. I wanted to. Thank you. collard greens, Mexican.
Just greens? Okay. So you want me to call you Greens? Okay, I got you. Greens. I'll change your name in the program catalog. All right. Next, and for our final recital piece, we have our recording arts student, Aiden Spate, performing an original piano composition he wrote called Get Far. Please.
I wanna get away from here, far away, far from here. I wanna go up yonder to a place where I can be free from my troubles, where I can be with him. From this place, filled with despair, awful place. haven't heard, our minds can't comprehend your plans or your love or your grace. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, our minds can't comprehend your plans or your love or your grace. Wanna get away from this.
Y'all clap it up again for just all these amazing kids, you know what I'm saying? Pretty awesome. So every Truth and Proof, we bring up a feature artist, and what's crazy, I never until they get here. And so this time, we happen to bring up a good friend of mine. This guy's been he's been a mentor to me in more ways than just poetry, like in life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going through things and I'm having bad days. And it's almost like he knows exactly when to call. And he's closer than family, and he's an excellent poet. I remember a long call Gave Me Girls. And I related to the poem, but I ain't have no church. And I was like, yo, that's the kind of dad I would be. And fast forward, it was about 10 years later, God gave me girls. You know what I'm saying? Just I want to say it's his fault. You know what I'm saying? But this guy is an excellent poet. He reminds you of Brother to the Night from Love Jones. Yeah, he sounds just like him, I'm telling y'all. But y'all give it up for my good friend, my brother, my partner, my wounded, my round, my mentor, my friend, Wally B. Y'all make some noise for...
For the 10 lives taken away from us. We are living in the last and first days. Shadows and shade, eyeshadow and braids, shadow boxing and fades can never be too tight. Skin blend, wonder where we start and end. While we still standing on bended knee, how we haven't been crushed by centuries. Our enemies, they don't want us gone. They want us controlled. To know our place, play our position, but how can you case something infinite? How you gonna murder a spirit that's as ridiculous as thinking that people are property, or treating them like fractions instead of equations, half mandatory minimums, half amazing, but we a whole different problem. Tax scattered on the floor for elephants in the room, attempting to move in silence, committed to making America great or die trying. But then what made you great in the first place? So stop lying. You've already seen what happens when we stop buying. Children of the sun, we stay shining like magic or joy, black girl, black boy, the innovators of style. Whether face down, face to the clouds, facing a trial, or face to face with our child, watch us conjure a radiance from the four-corner veil. With our black is the new black, always in fashion, because freedom and resilience never gets old. Duval, what's good? How y'all doing? Man, it is indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here once again. My name is Wally B. Jennings, representing Tampa, Florida. This hat that I have on right now and the flyer that was graciously been promoted had the big TPA on it, right? But that's the abbreviation of Tampa. But together for the good. And so, yeah, I was so happy to receive the invitation from the lovely Miss Ebony Payne. Can y'all please give my baby sister a round of applause? So proud of her and all that she has done and is doing to continue to cultivate art and culture here in the city of Jacksonville, along with my brother Moses West. Y'all give it up for Mo. Mo, I know I owe Mo that poem. Last time we did Kings of Poetry, I didn't do it, so just so you know, spoiler alert, we probably are gonna do God Gave Me Girls. I probably need to do that anyway. And last but not least, can we please give it up to all of the amazing young people that we have seen and heard from this evening. I have the privilege and honor of serving as the founder of the Heard 'Em Say Youth Arts Collective in Tampa, Florida. Heard 'Em Say was founded to identify, cultivate, and empower youth in activism and advocacy through artistic education and expression. And Ebony and the Performance Academy, before it existed, but the work that Ebony was doing in the community was actually one of the catalysts. There, we consider you all our brother and sister groups. And in this work, you all know that it is so important to have those support systems outside of the city. And this becomes so much more than just kind of this hub and this silo of creativity for our young people, yes? And one of the great things that it does is that when young people are exposed to platforms like this, it's like, wow, you know, there are other young people that are into some of the stuff that I'm in. And then when you're able to take them to a Tampa or Orlando, it's like, wow, it's people outside of. When they're able to see some of their big brothers and sisters that are in movies, that are writing for TV shows, that can say that they got their start in a place like this, it really helps to broaden what's available to them. And so for those of you young people who are participating in this program, allow this to serve as a platform to catapult you forward into what is potentially possible for your future. be encouraged by the things that you see, not only hear from yourself, but also from the other artists and young people that you observe here on the stage as well. I have since stepped back from my role as the executive director of Heard 'Em Say, and it is in great hands. As a matter of fact, this month, Heard 'Em Say celebrates 15 years in the Tampa Bay area. And so grateful for that, and it would not have been possible for you all and your support to encourage what we're doing in Tampa. So again, the work that you all are doing here has far-reaching effects, so please know that. One of the things that I am working on and that I do want to encourage you all in with your art is that, and even here, Ebony, I know, is a spoken word artist. You see Mo. Many of us as poets, right, we remember when we used to have to fight for voice on stages, going from that to then starting our own poetry shows. And now to the place where we are now leading cultural and artistic movements like the Performance Academy and other. Art has become an important part of helping to communicate critical information. And so I am a part of a movement in Tampa called the Black Cemetery Project, which is helping to provide a voice to African American cemeteries that have been disregarded, ignored, and built over. And so I had a professor at the University of South Florida receive a grant and to do research on these cemeteries. And I reached out to her and I asked her, hey, would you be interested in some of the artists coming alongside logs and all type of artistic creations to really help expand the reach. And again, that's for, again, the young people know that your work and your artistry, it sounds good, you get claps, but there is a reverberation, there is a power that is found not only in your voice, but in your skill and your talents and in your ability. Me actually performing this poem from the stage, what I like to do is have you all to see the poem and the Burial Cemetery Network, the Black Cemetery Network, and this poem is called Lullabies for Living Communities. If the peace of the deceased is disturbed, can there ever really be rest for the living? When children are haunted by the ghost of coffins, who will sound the trumpet in Zion? What lullabies or lies are sung to soothe their superstitions? How long is the distance between time to mourn and time to move on? Between progression and the school bell? Longer than a military exercise? Do black lives matter even in death? Picture on their bones only requires removing a headstone, obtaining a permit, circumnavigating a state law. Oaklawn, Ridgewood, Evergreen, Moffett, St. Matthew, chapter 7. Verse 12, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Truth never stays buried. Hope will find its voice no matter how faint. Love is resilient, always smart enough to leave a witness, a testimony, stories that were not lost or forgotten, but rather ignored and disregarded. Clues to unlocking the mystery of its existence. Distant memories have become today's conscience. So ask yourself, are you really ready to be woke? What if everything that you perception and deceit of others? What if we are ignoring Amber Alerts from the dirt? What if your giving tree was birthed by seeds that look like me? What if directly under your feet there were whole communities silenced in an effort to delete another painful chapter in America's complicated history? The past speaks. Are you listening? So that again is, I believe, blackcemeterynetwork.org for more information on that. Our project into a nationwide initiative where different cities can actually register Black and African American cemeteries on the website as well. And obviously, just as we see with racism in America, it's systemic. I was talking to my nephew on the way up. What is being done to black people is intentional, and we have to find ways to fight back and be productive, especially time and season and right now. All right, when I say spoken, y'all say word. Spoken, word. Spoken. Word. Upon hearing the news that I'm about to have daughter number 2, he says to me that real men make men. And since I can't seem to pass on my Y chromosome, then I must not have what it takes to train one, let alone make one. Now, he says all of this while watching me tutor his son. Algebra, combine alike terms. Learn the value of X and Y by isolating the variable to one side, and I can't lie. Secretly, it does hurt, because a man's worth can often be tied to his ability to procreate males, regardless of whether he stays. And honestly, every man dreams of having a son one day. Someone to carry on his last name and somehow make up for all the mistakes he made. But God gave me girls. And since I believe in destiny and not fate, I have to trust that God planned it this way. I'm just not always really sure why. Maybe he wanted me to know what it was like to be on the opposite sides of all the games I used to play. I mean, I used to hear it a lot, but when did you ever think about a girl's father before you took her? Like to be in his shoes and the fact that God knew that I'd bring my daughters up to be strong women, or maybe I just wanted me to be thankful for what I was given. Because how many times you gotten exactly what you asked for and then regretted that you asked for it? How many times are you absolutely certain that if you got the exact person you wanted, you'd be happy? Only to realize you keep picking out men that remind you of your daddy, or women that remind you of your mother, and the qualities you would have liked to see in them, in him, in her. The first relationship that we all have with the person of the opposite sex is with our parents, regardless of whether they're present or absent. And since God gave me girls, I'm charged with setting a good example and to handle my business, regardless of what the situation is. That's what real men do. I aced Algebra 2 because I always knew how to find the true value of X and Y. Isolate boys and girls to opposite sides, and you'll find that although their needs are different, their values are equivalent, congruent with the father's influence. And I use my patience to keep the equation balanced. So if you think it takes more, since you think it takes more talent to train your son, talk to me when your child runs up to you asking if they're matching because they were dressed by their mama. And when it comes to fashion, trust her. I like they trust that. Get at me when you spend your Friday evenings greasing your child's hair with a jar of soap or Just For Me or some kind of oil moisturizer and spend 2 hours trying to get the part in the middle of her hair straight. Holler at me when you got to take your child to the restroom in public, but girls can't touch nothing. So you got to hold her up over the toilet seat and then pray to God that you don't get hit with pee. Tell me you know the theme song to Hannah Montana, Dora the Explorer, Blue's Clues, or High School Musical. And maybe then you can relate to what I'm going through. But until then, I will be waiting on your son on the shotgun, a bathrobe, church socks, and house slippers. Just so he remembers that anytime he takes out Charmian or Simone, they ain't never really alone. So yeah, player, bring them back home the same way that they left. Because when God gives girls, he gives us the best. I did a lot of talking before that previous poem, so I wanted to jump right into that one. I wanted to say that's dedicated to Amiri, that's dedicated to Jayla, and that's dedicated to Mahogany Rose, man. Y'all clap it up for them, make some noise. That's real. That's how much I like to talk until I became a poet. So I apologize to y'all. I'm like, the intro longer than the poem. So I'm gonna do one more piece. And this poem is actually dedicated to every young person that we heard and saw tonight, every young person that is that's here in the audience. And this is something that I wrote specifically for the generation that is coming behind us. And so, yeah, hope y'all dig it. And I heard him say, the youth are the future. And so I tell them, until you have completed the production. Your life is reality TV, so never stop running. The whole world is waiting for you to say something. Why waste words when windows wish they could live as openly? No, we won't always agree. Your heart and your mind will often fight over who should speak. Clearing hurdles, it may not be as easy as you think, but remember to gather the lesson from every stumble and keep moving forward. Forward, you can do it. 4 words, you can. Get over it or go through it, it's your choice. It's your voice that signifies a changing of the guard. Let them fear a new era of snapback, new era wearing scholars. Homeschool philosophers, tell them, you write operas that the world will never see unless underprivileged children get in free. Stare dead presidents in the face until their puppet strings are no more. We cannot follow generation. Your soul is sacred like the sounds of silence, and I know they told you to be quiet. Told you that recognition must be earned, that you must be governed by your ears, but if you cannot regurgitate what you hear, then how do you know if you have truly learned? Their words were for winter, but as daffodils unfurl, you must release the pearls in your mouth and fulfill your obligation. Don't be afraid when your pulse is racing. Be afraid when it's not. Fear the unfeeling that numbs your speech, the screeching of brakes halting you from moving forward. Forward, you speak and win. 4 words, you speak, you win. How this ends was decided when you parted your lips, spoke your piece, and stood in the truth as proof of the image you were created in. You are a God with a pen, a wordsmith, a journalist, just scratching the surface of a preordained destiny. But what will be your legacy? When the sunlight shines its rays on your final days, what lines will stand the test of time? What words will build bridges and burn indelible images into the infinite? So I tell them, travel on paths not yet cut or seen. Never yell cut or seen until you get everything you came for. You are the dopest metaphor ever written. And some people may not ever get it. And it's cool because not everything is for everyone. But the most important audience you will face is the one that you wear every day. This is your world. And it's waiting to hear what you have to say. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all so much. I'm bad about going over time. So, Ebony, why you sitting there? Ain't supposed to do something? Ain't it? Okay, I didn't know if like you was coming up. I didn't know how that part was gonna go. Because I can get, so like I said, I can get a little long with it. So that's why I wanted to make sure I was in. Am I in time on the performance part? All right, good. So yeah, I love questions. So please don't be shy. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and you're gonna take in the microphone. What's your name again, sir? Travelite. All right, y'all give it up for King. So please raise your hand, and King will bring you the microphone for questions. Yes. I'm gonna get offended if y'all don't ask me no questions. I'm just gonna be real and start telling some bad jokes. Wow. I wrote my first poem, and I ain't gonna say the year because that y'all gonna judge my life and my age. I was in the 8th grade. That's as far back as I remember, and our English teacher had given us an assignment to keep a diary. And I was like, I'm a dude, like dudes don't do diaries. I'll do a journal. And and so, but I was like, I ain't doing no diary, but after getting 2 Fs on the assignment, I was like, I'm probably going to try this diary thing. And so, but I started writing. And one day my teacher pulled me to the side. She said, Walter, do you mind if I share some of your poems? I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, your journal entries are actually like poems, like they read like poems. And so what I like to do is post them up on the board for the other students to see. And it was one of the first times in my life where I felt like I was being acknowledged for something that was genuinely a part of who I am. I dealt with a lot of identity issues. And so, to be noted in that way was very affirming for me. So that was the first poem that I wrote. Like most 8th graders, I was going through a crisis with love. Because, it's just love, you had your first heartbreak by the time you're 12, 13 years old. You think it's the end of the world. And so, that's kind of where I was. That was my first poem. Yes.
What kind of confidence do you have to build in order to get on stage and perform like that?
Man, so here's the thing, right? I tell people all the time that, so the fear doesn't go away. And I will share this. I promise I'm not just saying this because I'm in front of y'all. Duval is my favorite city outside of Tampa. And if you know me and know how much I love Tampa, like that's a huge statement. I tell people all the time, if I ever run away from home, I'm in Jacksonville. Because I never had a bad experience here. And as an artist, there are certain cities that just agree with you. You know, there's just certain people you just come around, they just agree with your spirit. Duval just agrees with my spirit. I say that because even now, like, I'm super nervous. The nervousness doesn't go away. What happens is the more that you commit yourself to the process of doing it, the stronger you become. And so, like, you begin to look forward to it. But what you have to be afraid of, what you have to be careful of is that you don't allow the fear to prevent you from ever starting in the process. And so, but the more you do it, the more confident you become in it, and the more you begin to recognize the benefits, and those things begin to overshadow all of the negative things that were in your head before you started doing it. And so, like, even standing before you all, some of y'all I do not know, and y'all seeing me for the first time, and I don't know what y'all thinking. And that's, you know, those are things that kind of go through your head. But it's so important to push past your fear. Public speaking and doing what I'm doing right now, people fear this more than death. It is the reigning champion of people's number one fear. So for every young person, right, think about that. Every time you get up in front of somebody and speak or do what you did tonight, you are conquering a fear that most people fear more than dying and losing their life. Think about the power and the confidence and the encouragement you should get from that. So regardless of whether you mess up, regardless of what happens when you come up here, it's the important thing is to commit yourself to honoring and standing in it and then walking away from it, extract all the lessons you need to learn. But we have a rule at the show in Tampa, like if you put your name on the list, you're gonna come up and do something. Even if you decide not to do your poem, because the lesson is to be a person of your word and don't allow fear to prevent you from coming up and engaging in that. Yeah.
Hi.
My bad. Who? Wait a minute.
We got a line for
me. Is you back there? Okay, yeah.
I'm all the way back
Yeah,
here.
y'all got to wait because I don't see well at night either, but I look better without glasses, and so yeah, yes.
I have a lot of questions, but I'm just gonna ask one for now. My question, I'm trying to choose which one to ask. Okay, I'll just ask about how you feel like traveling has impacted your experience as an artist.
Man, traveling is a critical and important part of encouragement and best practices and growth, I believe. As I can't state enough, again, the importance of having partners like Ebony, my sister Blue Bailey in Orlando, the Deep Center in like Savannah, having the opportunity to take young people on those excursions and for them to hear and see other artists and also to experience other cultures outside of their own is an important part of their growth. And it's something that even as an artist, we benefit from as well. Like as an individual artist, I love going to other cities, like love being able to challenge myself to stand in front of an audience and figure out, okay, what poems are going to reach the audience, and going through my catalog. Like I've learned to really enjoy that. But as far as with learning best practices, especially for those of us who are teaching artists, and being able to go to other cities and areas and learn and then bring those things back into the areas and the cities that we teach are such a critical part, I think, of building really strong bridges of connection, but also expanding some of the curriculum and things that we're able to impart to our young people. So like I'm a big, huge proponent of getting out of your city, getting out of your comfort zone, engaging with other cities and areas so that you can really learn and grow. Yes.
Yes. Have you ever thought about changing, being that you're a poet, that you turn into song?
Turn into song?
Yeah, whether it's song, whether it's rap. I mean, because when you're doing your poetry, you're telling a story. And sometimes your story is very similar to others?
So I used to rap, but everybody was rapping. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your lane. But for me, poetry just agreed with me. And you mentioned the storytelling. The storytelling aspect was something that I worked really hard on. That's a talent and a skill that you can develop. Because what I realized, how many of y'all have watched a bad movie? Raise your hand if you watched a bad movie. How many of you sat through the whole bad? How many of you have like watched a whole bad movie? Right? Exactly. Because you look at this stuff like this, and you get all the way to the end of this movie, and you got 2.5 hours of your life that you ain't gonna get back, and you're like, that was horrible, right? Why'd you watch it? Because there was a storyline, right? And you want to see how the story ends. And so what I found out is that with poetry and writing, like the storytelling, like as you're going through the poem, it allows people to follow along better. You know, so you got the different themes and the wordplay and all of that stuff is great. But I found that telling a story really helps to pull people together and to allow them to kind of track and follow along and to get some of those lessons. So it's a skill. It's something that I'm proud on and I've worked on. And I will say this too, in regard to your question about traveling. Out of all of the influences that I've had as far as within my work, the greatest influence that I have had in my work has been the young people that I got the chance to coach and be around and mentor. Because young people have a purity, and they have an energy, and they have, most of them, an untainted view, a recklessness about what's possible in the world that many of us as adults lose when we start adulting, right? And when we get into these responsibilities. So like, I benefited so much as an artist, as a person, as a man, by being around young people and them holding me accountable by them pushing. And I don't cook anything. I don't serve anything that I'm not willing to eat myself. So anything that I'm coaching and telling my young people and the students, I'm applying to my own life and doing. But getting back to your question, I have thought about it, getting back into it. The young man, what's your name again? So I've always had a dream of playing the piano. And it's something that will not go away. And every time I see something like what you did tonight, it reminds me of that dream that I have. And so it may be time to act on it. So I just want to say thank you for inspiring me by doing what you did tonight. That's real. Yes.
This is a really stupid question, but how many?
No, first of all, never, ever, ever start with it. There is no such thing as a stupid question. Never do that. And also, don't discredit yourself in that way by doing that. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I just want to let you know. All right? Yes.
How many poems have you wrote? How many poems have you written?
Oh, man. Yeah. How many, Ebony? I don't know. Here we go. Everybody, here we go. What poem did you want to hear, Ebony?
The one about the big word that I can never remember what the word is.
Anachronism?
Yes.
So here's the crazy thing, and you can be mad at Moses about this. So I was going to do anachronism, but when Mo talked about God gave me girls and the fact that I didn't do that Kings of Poetry, I was like, of course he's not, especially not in this moment. But if it's cool with everybody and we got time, how about I end with that?
I would like that very much.
All right.
I would say that you've written at least 7,062 poems.
It's a lot. No, but it's like when you, because again, like we hear the poems like when the poet brings them to the stage, but like all them whack poems in the big like poetry book, all them count. I'm just saying, just because I don't perform them, they count. And funny story about that, right? So like y'all got phones and stuff, you know. So just so y'all know, like back in the day, When people first started like being able to read from their phones, I was a real hater. Like I would call the young people when they be trying to read their phone because I'm like, memorize your stuff. But like I used to have I had a big poetry notebook like this. Like, and it was like, how many of y'all had the grandma Bible at your grandma's house with like under the table that was about that big? Like that's what my poetry notebook looked like. And so I would like come up to read my poem and like I put it on the stand falling all over. And so, but like no, all them poems count. But I have memorized, I will say this, like I have memorized right now probably about 30 that I use like right now in rotation. I have about 30 poems memorized. I have probably, if I could remind myself and kind of refresh them, I probably have about 70 to 80, maybe even more, that I've memorized kind of over time. And I just found that it made it easier with being able to, challenge yourself that way, and also to not lug around that big book, just to have it, you somewhere you can just pop up and do a poem. It's a lot more of a convenience. But yeah, as far as with writing the poems, I wrote a lot of bad poems. And the challenge and the thing, but people love you. And so it's like they won't tell you your poem bad. And an open mic is really to support us as artists. But when you grow, right, and you look back and you like, man, that was a bad poem. But those things, and again, in your growth and in your process, don't grieve those moments. Don't grieve the mess ups and the missteps and the challenges, because those things are a part of your path. That's how you get to the place where you really are trying to go. And when you get 5, 10 years down the line, you'll be able to look back and say, man, that was a bad poem, but I'm grateful for that, because I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for that poem, if it wasn't for going through that process. I think her hand was first and then yours.
Oh, I got
Who? Yeah, oh, you, all right, yes.
Has there ever been a poem that you written or heard that ever humbled or frightened you?
I almost did it tonight. So I will share with you all that the hardest poem that I ever had to write was about my youngest daughter. Ebony's heard it, Mo's heard it. I don't know if my nephew's heard it. The poem is called Song of the Hummingbird. I have a 14-year-old daughter who is on the autism spectrum. She is a beautiful little black girl, and she's also nonverbal. And I have a line in that poem, and I said, because my wife is also an artist too, and I said, bad joke number 1, 2 poets made love and gave birth to a child who couldn't speak. And the weight of that line almost caused me to just, because it was the first poem that I wrote that the poem didn't change the situation. You know what I'm saying? Because with art, right, you can be in a place, you can feel a certain way, and you can be feeling bad or down, and you write a poem, and it's like your perspective change. You just feel better. You feel optimistic. You feel good about life. I wrote that line. I wrote that poem, and the poem didn't change the situation. It was one of the first. It was one of the first poems that I wrote that it didn't necessarily change the situation. That was really humbling. That was really hard. I have I'm telling y'all a lot about myself, just so y'all know. I have always had challenges with death. And I have had 3 people that have passed away close to me. I'm very fortunate. I still have both of my parents. My brother passed away in 2014. I haven't written about that, but I know I'm going to have to. My first cousin, who I was close to in childhood, passed away from breast cancer last year. I know I'm going to have to write about that. My best friend, who actually got me into doing spoken word, he and I would share our poems in high school. We weren't cool enough to sit in the cafeteria, so we would sit outside and share our poems to each other. He went off to college. He went to Tuskegee. I went to FAM. He was like, man, you got to share your work. He's the one that got me doing spoken word and poetry. He had an epileptic seizure last May, about 3 days after his birthday, and died. I haven't written about that, but I know I have to. So, May the 6th. And so I know those are coming. And so I just haven't had the strength to even deal with it, to even do it. But that's part of our growth. Yes.
How do you deal with writer's block?
You haven't played them Paul D's poem? You haven't played? Yep. Yes, I'm going to have Ebony to play you Paul D's poem, and it is the answer to your question. Long story short, writer's block does not exist. Writer's block does not exist. Short answer, first answer, listen to Paul D's poem. Second answer is, if you're experiencing writer's block, it's because you are trying to write about something that is not as important as what you really need to say. There's something that you really need to say, and it is blocking everything else, and it is telling you, I ain't letting nothing out. Nope, you're not going to avoid me. You're not going to ignore me, but you are going to address me, and I am not going to let anything out until you address me. Or if you get it out, it's not going to be the way you want it to sound. So that's my experience. Yes.
What do you do when you can't create?
When I can't read? Can't create? What do you mean?
Like if you're just not really like writer's block. I know it sounds like that, but like, what would you do if you just couldn't?
Say that last part again. Your craft? Exactly. So oftentimes, right, because we are artisans and creatives by nature. And what we have to be careful of is that we'll put ourselves in this box. And it's easy, like as a spoken word artist, like I come up here, I get a chance to stand in front of people, share my words, and I feel good about myself. And then when writer's block happens, or I'm in a place where I'm just kind of disenchanted with my art, what I found is that maybe I'm not supposed to be doing that art at that time. Maybe it's time for me to pick up a camera. Maybe it's time for me to pick up a paintbrush. Maybe it's time for me to sing where nobody can hear me, because that ain't my calling, ain't my gift. But the point is that when you find that, oftentimes it is an unction for you to find another way to be creative. Because we're creative by nature. So it's like, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this, so what should I be doing? And especially you. I don't even know you. I walked in, saw you sitting in the back, and saw you on stage for 5 minutes. You got a bunch of different artistic interests and things that you need to be engaged in. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just need to dive right on into it. Everybody see it. Like I said, I know you. How long we been here? An hour and a half. Yeah, it's a bunch of different interesting things that you have. Yes. Go ahead. I saw it. Oh.
You said that public speaking is everyone's greatest fear, but my greatest fear is other people reading my poetry. I'm terrified of that. I'll speak on the microphone all day long in front of people, but performing like my personal thoughts, you already kind of spoke on that, but I guess what was it that made you decide that you wanted to share your like most personal, deepest thoughts and feelings and insecurities and all that?
So the question was asked about my first poem, and I was in the 8th grade when I wrote my first poem. I didn't perform my first poem until my senior year at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. That was about 8 years later. Hey. So it was, again, as I mentioned, my best friend, he was like, man, you gotta share your work. The reluctance that I had, the biggest block that I had was the fact that I didn't feel like anyone was going to really be able to relate, understand, or even care about what it is that I had to say. That I'm too eclectic, I'm too corny, I'm too lame, I'm just, all of these things, right, that were going through my head about how unimportant my voice was to other people, which was a lie that I had believed for a number of years. 2 months before I graduated from college, I decided to take my best friend up on this offer. It was homecoming, and this fraternity was having an open mic. And I said, you know what? I got my notebook in the car, and I'm gonna read. I got on the mic, I read my poem, and I got a standing ovation. That wasn't the affirming part. The affirming part was when I got off the microphone, there was this real cool, sharp-dressed dude that came up to me, and from the outside looked like he had it all together. He looked like one of the people that in my mind before this I thought would have laughed at me and mocked me for even doing poetry. He came up to me and he said, man, I want to thank you for what you said, because I feel the exact same way, and I didn't think anybody could relate. In that moment, I thought two things. The first thing that I thought was, wow, what would my life have been like if I embraced and truly accepted who God made me to be from the very beginning? If I didn't try to hide behind bad habits, if I didn't try to be somebody that I wasn't, if I wasn't trying so hard to please people, but really genuinely accepted who I was. The second thing that I thought was that I have to continue to share my story and to use my authentic voice to inspire other people to do the same. So when you see me do this is a part of my process of working through being the best person that I can. This is part of the process of not being sick with my secrets. This is a part of me learning how to embrace who I am, flaws and all. And this is also to encourage you to embrace your voice. And it may not, and for you, I know you're a visual artist, it may not be on the microphone, and that's okay. For some of us, again, it's behind an instrument. For some of us, it's behind a canvas. But the point is that for us to always purpose to grow in being who we genuinely are. That's the goal. You may never share your poem publicly on a microphone because everything that you create isn't necessarily for everyone. Everything that you create is for you first. Every lesson that you learn is for you first. And so I would encourage you in that way, that if it's fear holding you back, then don't let fear hold you back, because your voice and your experience is needed. People need to hear it. Any other questions? Yes.
I need that website again, and I just want to offer gratitude. Thank you for sharing.
Man, I really love this city. Every time I come here, it's always a enriching experience, and it's always right on time. Literally, right. And for those of y'all that know what I'm talking about on that spiritual level, absolutely, it's right on time. Where I know y'all, but what I'm getting from you all is what I always get when I come here. It's just. So thank you. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for doing what y'all are doing. Thank y'all for encouraging our babies and for supporting them in their work. I don't know if Ebony told y'all, y'all know we got an Emmy winner in our family. We got an Emmy winner
that a young lady who again has come under Ebony's tutelage, one of my babies from Tampa, that was coached by her. We have young people that have received poetry scholarships. We got family members that are writing for TV shows. We got family members that are in movies. We got family members that are writing for magazines that started on stages just like this. There is literally no place that you can't go when you embrace the artist that is inside of you and your authentic voice. So, you ready for this poem? Yes. Can you got a laptop? You close it. All right, I'm gonna get that to you. It's blackcemeterynetwork.org. I believe, yeah, it's blackcemeterynetwork.org. Let me know if that doesn't work. If it does not, African American Burial Ground Project. Google that. I get the gracious pleasure of working with Dr. Antoinette Jackson from the University of South Florida. So if you see her name, you're in the right place. All right, so one day I was reading a sports blog, which should let you know that I wasn't necessarily trying to learn anything. I was trying to entertain myself, minding my own business, looking for some mental candy. And this writer was talking about this football player. And the first line of this description is he says, so-and-so is an anachronism. Now, does anybody know what the word anachronism means? An anachronism is a chronological inconsistency. So, you know how you'll watch a spoof movie and like it'll be, for example, like a Western, and like somebody be riding and then they'll have a cell phone that rings, but you know they ain't have cell phones back in the 1800s or the early 1900s. The cell phone is an anachronism. So what he was saying about this football player is that he's a good player, but the way that he plays the game is better suited for a different time in the NFL. So I started thinking, right? How many of us feel like we were born in the wrong place? How many of us feel like we were born at the wrong time? How many of us feel like we were born to the wrong people? Because everybody else in your family was raised by wolves. I don't know what it is they be on, but like, you know, you the only one got real sense, right, in your family. And I know that's probably just me, but it's just like, I might have been switched at birth, like really with some of y'all, because so I'm thinking about this word, and I'm thinking about unpacking kind of all the things, right? But what's important and what distinguishes us as poets, right, is we have to have a creative platform like to wrap it in. I can't just write a poem about anachronism. I got to have something creative to wrap it in. And it just so happens that I took a trip with my godparents who were visiting to a place called the Salvador Dali Museum. Has anybody ever heard of Salvador Dali? If you have not heard of Salvador Dali, more than likely you are familiar with his work. How many of y'all remember growing up in the media center, there was this big poster of the desert and these melting clocks and what looked like a headless white horse in the middle of the desert? Anybody remember that? I'm that old, just so I remember that. It was in Ur Library, right? That's a Salvador Dali painting. Salvador Dali is the epitome of an anachronism because his work was so forward-thinking. He's called a surrealist. But the most amazing thing about his art, and you can look it up, is the fact that it was painted 50, 60 years ago. But when you look at it, it looks like something someone in this day and time would paint. So I'm like, I got it. So this poem is called Anachronism. Y'all ain't see that, though, for later. So Salvador's clocks have melted, and we are stranded in a land where the persistence of memory haunts us, vividly recalling days of an era that are both familiar and foreign, tumbling through a wonderland within. Uncomfortable in places we have always been, staring into mirrors and asking, what are you doing here? Waiting for an answer. Praying that we somehow awaken from a dream that we're not having, thinking to ourselves, maybe Maybe God got this one wrong. Questioning where we belong, vagabond has drawn our name. Foreheads with inverted crosses, we are descendants of Cain, proof that not all aliens are green, have large eyes, web feet. Many of them are trapped inside of a time capsule with the reveal date inscribed on a tombstone. A stay-at-home mom that becomes nauseous from Real Housewives shows a mention. A father of 3 working towards a pension. A boy who still writes love letters, and a girl with her brother's Letterman jacket draped over her shoulder. She is perfectly fine with being courted by the ghost of chivalry. An employee that has worked at the same company for 14 years, but is still always afraid of losing her job. A hopeless romantic stuck in a world of shadows and masks. A Christian who has no idea what to tell children that share his skin complexion. A husband weary from chasing a wife that is chasing her dreams. A philanthropist with a big heart and bad credit. A mentor who doesn't have call waiting. A coach trying to find his whistle, clipboard, marker, only to remember that he has already thrown all 3 in frustration. A poet with a day job. An alcoholic who has not had a drink in years. A younger brother left to answer questions that were not addressed to him. An older sister asking questions addressed to no one. A son still rooting for his father's redemption. A daughter afraid of her mother's legacy. A 14-year-old who gives lectures on autism. A 75-year-old going back to school, and a 15-year-old that just dropped out. 16 candles, 25 lighters on the dresser. Yes, sir, what are you doing here? Square pegs, round holes, playing pretend to fit in since there doesn't seem to be a razor blade sharp enough to cut us in on the plan. And then there's this man. Now, he says there are time machines for sale, and for only a small fee, you and Gary Gnu can ride the Great Space Coaster over the Reading Rainbow to a landfill with necklaces and Novocaine, suspended animation freeze frame. A world where everything makes sense because nothing moves. The power of pain is subdued. Hiding from life in plain view, it is absolutely beautiful, but there is a cosmic string attached. Even though you can go anywhere you want, you always come back to the man on the corner, the woman behind the counter, the boy in the locker room, the girl whose parents are never home. No matter how long you're gone, it never feels long enough. Spending more money on your time machine because it never feels strong enough. Soaking up melted clocks, trying to use it as fuel. You fool yourself into believing that one day you're going to go and never come back. Stay stranded soaring in the stratosphere. But you've been traveling like this for 5 years, wandering the border between now and never, looking at a reflection that is no longer familiar yet, haunted by a voice that strangely is. What are you doing here? Where do you belong? I know they say he ain't never made a mistake, but maybe God got this one wrong. But you could have been anyone, anywhere in the world, any time in history, but you are you, and you are here. And this is now. Your existence is intentional, a purposeful imperfection on the master's work of art. What size mark will you leave on the canvas? Will your colors remain vibrant? Will your legacy digest integration? See, every day we answer these questions with the choices we're making, but taking your time to deliberate, that just shows that you understand what's at stake, but know that there is even providence in your mistakes, freedom in your failures of today, and we are more than conquerors, but we just keep trying to fly away beyond the rainbow, past the clouds, beyond the pain, past the crowds. Yes, it is beautiful, but we can't stay there. We have entirely too much work to do. Duval, this world has absolutely no idea how much it needs you, so you got to remind them. In fact, remind yourself you could have been anywhere else, anytime in history, but you are here. So ask yourself, what are you doing? Love y'all, man. Thank y'all so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Did y'all enjoy that? Truth and Proof has like the best guest artists. Thank you again, Wally B, for coming up from Tampa to be with us. That is our show this evening. We're going to head over to Zende's mural and cut the ribbon and send y'all home. Thank you so much for your support of the youth in Greater Jacksonville. Thank you, Evan Torres, for hosting so graciously these past 8 months. Thank you, Willie Evans Jr., for streaming us live. Thank you, Travis, for your assistance with the sound. Thank you, Dr. Powell, Anijah, Queen Nick, anybody that has contributed to make the Performance Academy the place and the safe space that it is. Y'all have a wonderful night.